What's going on, everybody? The networking guru here, and in this video we're going to be going over part 2 of our domain 1 questions. 25 more questions going over security plus domain 1. Like, subscribe, share this content, hit that bell. Let's jump right into it. Question 27. Which of the following best describes the primary purpose of digital signatures in cryptographic security? So digital signatures give us integrity, non-repudiation. They verify authenticity. So we're going to go with B here. Ensuring non-repudiation and verifying the authenticity of a message. They do this by using hashing and asymmetric cryptography. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 28. Which security technology provides a protected execution environment that allows sensitive data and cryptographic operations to run separately from the main operating system? So what we're saying here is we're doing cryptography on a dedicated hardware appliance that's not a part of the actual operating system. So I'm leaning towards this is probably going to be HSM, but it could also be Secure Enclave as well. So what's leaning me more towards Secure Enclave is how sensitive data and cryptographic operations run separately. It's not specifically saying that it's another appliance, right? If this is saying which physical appliance provides sensitive data and cryptographic operations to run separate from like a firewall or something like that, I lean more towards HSM. But I'm going to go with Secure Enclave here. So you can see here, a Secure Enclave is a hardware-based, isolated execution environment designed to protect sensitive data and cryptographic operations from being accessed by the main operating system or malicious software. Question 29, and yes, it's already answered. I had a little mess up in the recording, so we're just going to go over a couple questions that have already been answered. But question 29, a company needs to encrypt only specific data fields in a customer database, such as social security numbers and credit card details, while leaving other data unencrypted. Which encryption method is the most appropriate? So records in a database need to be encrypted while others are left alone. So that's going to be record encryption. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 30. Which of the following is an example of a honey token? So I already answered it. So again, messed up in recording. It's going to be a fake user credential embedded in a database to detect credential stuffing attacks. So honey token deals with certificates, credentials, unlike honey file, which is with files, unlike a honey pot, which would be like a single server system VM, and unlike a honey net, which would be an entire network. All those are decoy and deceptive techniques that are meant to give you analysis on potential malicious threats. Okay, now we're back on track without the answer already being up. Question 31. Which key exchange method is commonly used in secure communications to establish a shared secret key over an untrusted network? So essentially we're asking here is how do we do secure key exchange to do symmetric encryption? What protocols do we use? So we use asymmetric cryptography to make this happen, but we have specific protocols that do this, like Diffie-Hellman, like elliptic curve cryptography, like, what's that third one? I'll probably, when I edit this video, I'll put it up there. It's like ECDHA. That's really bad. I should know it's off the top of my head. But the answer to this is going to be C, Diffie-Hellman, which is a secure exchange protocol. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 32. Which of the following best describes the role of stakeholders in the change management process? So going over change management, stakeholders are really anyone that has a vested interest. Sometimes I used to think of stakeholders as like just a C-suite. That's not true. It's really any person in an organization that has an interest in the organization succeeding. So what best describes the role of stakeholders when it comes to change management? Now, we talk about change management and stakeholders in that exact process. We're probably talking about management and the different approval steps. So more than likely, we're going to go with A here. They review, approve, or reject proposed changes based on their impact on security and business operations. What I always like to point out is business operations too, right? Just Just because we're technical doesn't mean we forget about the business side of things. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 33. A company implements digital signatures for all employee emails. Which security principle does this primarily support? So digital signatures give us a couple things. They give us non-repudiation and integrity. But when we're attaching a digital signature to our email, that is primarily for primarily that's one purpose when we attach it to our email. Now we can attach digital signatures to not just email, just any message, data, but usually it's to your email. It does give us integrity, but its primary purpose is non-repudiation. That's to make sure that the sender is legit, to make sure that we're kind of authenticating that the sender did actually send this message, and then it also didn't get changed in the process, which would be integrity. But the most correct answer for this question is going to be C, non-repudiation. So again, non-repudiation ensures that an individual cannot deny taking an action, such as sending an email or signing a document. So it's kind of like authenticity, right? Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 34. Which cryptographic technique is used to strengthen weak passwords by increasing computational complexity during hashing? So essentially, how do we make hashing stronger? That's what this question is asking. And we're going to go with D. That's key stretching. The longer the key, the more secure something is. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Really, I say longer, like the bigger size, like 512-bit size compared to a 256-bit size key. The 512 is better. Question 35. Which cryptographic security tool is typically used in enterprise environments to securely generate, store, and manage encryption keys at scale? So a security tool and securely generate and store and manage encryption keys. So remember, TPM is something that's built into like embedded system. It's an embedded thing, like on a motherboard. I am thinking hardware security module for this question, and that's because really the store and manage. That's what an HSM is there for, and it's meant to be its own dedicated appliance. So I'm going to go with D, hardware security module. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 36. Which of the following is an example of a compensating control? So think of compensating controls as like you have a legacy server that you can't upgrade, you can't get rid of. So we have to compensate for that risk, for that vulnerability, for that increased attack surface. So a compensating control, it may not completely mitigate a risk, but it helps protect, okay? It helps protect. So let's go through these options. A company without MFA implements a policy requiring complex passwords and frequent password changes. That's probably our answer. And the reason is good IAM security, identity access management security, when we're authenticating identities, authenticating users, is multi-factor. That's really the best way to do it. There's even like the belief out there that passwordless authentication is even better now because it can't be guessed if it's just a push notification on your phone. Like, you can't guess that. You have to have possession of the phone, and then that phone may have 2 factors of authentication on it, right? So to even access the app. So if we can't have that, so there's a risk, there's a vulnerability, what can we do instead? How can we compensate for that? A password policy. So I'm probably going to go with A here, but let's read the rest. A security camera records, that's a detective control. A firewall is configured to block unauthorized access. That's preventative, right? Firewalls prevent things. An organization mandates annual security awareness training for employees. That would be a directive control. More than likely a directive control. So I'm going to go with A here. A company without MFA implements a policy requiring complex passwords and frequent password changes. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 37. An organization wants to strengthen its security posture by preventing unauthorized applications from running on company devices. Which of the following is the most effective solution? So to increase our defense in depth, we don't want applications installed without prior approval. Sounds like a whitelist to me. This could also be enforcing strict access control, right? We're really, not really access control, just strict download policies. So whitelist is also an allow list. A deny list is a blacklist. The way a whitelist and an allow list works is pretty much there's like an implicit deny, but then we go in and specifically say what applications can be installed. So a lot more secure, a lot more pain when you need to get things approved for like installation on your network. Where a deny list or blacklist is like an implicit allow, and then we have to go in one by one and deny, which takes a lot more time and is a little bit less secure, but grants us the ability to download whatever we want. But here we're worried about our security posture, preventing unauthorized applications. So we're going to go with B here, implementing an allow list that only permits approved applications to run. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 38. A security administrator needs to ensure that encrypted data can be recovered if an employee loses their private key. Which of the following cryptographic solutions is most appropriate? Encrypted data can be recovered in case a private key is lost or stolen. An employee loses their private key. What do they do? Just delete it? But anyways, definitely not digital signatures, right? It's not going to be digital signature. It has nothing to do with this question. A certificate revocation list actually just it's a server that shows you certificates that are no longer trusted or expired. That doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the private key. And then PKI just describes the entire ecosystem of, HTTPS, right? Of how we have secure connections over the web. It's a lot more complicated than that, but the only good answer here is B, a key escrow. So what is a key escrow? This is a security mechanism that ensures encrypted data can still be accessed if the original encryption key is lost. So pause the video if you'd like to read further on that explanation. Question 39. An organization uses a honeypot to attract attackers and monitor their behavior without exposing critical systems. What type of security control does this represent? So we just want to monitor. So that's detective, okay? It should be detective. It wouldn't be corrective or directive. Yeah, just making sure. Yeah, that's it's just monitor, right? It's in the. I don't want to overthink it. See, what I was just doing was overthinking. That's something you shouldn't do in the exam. Think about it, but don't overthink it. It's there. It's written in plain English, right? No trick questions. Well, CompTIA sometimes. Anyways, question 40. Which of the following physical security measures is most effective for preventing unauthorized tailgating into a secure facility? So it used to be called a man trap. Now they call it access control vestibule. It always sounds like I'm saying vegetable, but it's vestibules? Vestibules? Okay, we'll move on. I had a speech impediment as a kid. If you watch my videos, I've said that before. Sometimes words are hard. But yes, that is D. So an access control vestibule is the new term for a man trap that prevents tailgating, where we just have two doors essentially that to get through so you can see if someone's trying to just tailgate behind you. And they typically are monitored as well by like a CCTV. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 41. An IT team implements a new password policy requiring stronger passwords, but they fail to update the organization's security policy documents. Which of the following security risks does this pose? So what happened here? An IT team implements a new password policy that says stronger passwords, but they fail to update the organization's security policy documents. So they implement a policy, but they don't update the documentation. So people don't know about it, essentially, is what they're saying, but they're probably going to be forced, and they may not get a message, right, when they have to reset their password. So what security risk does this pose? Probably A, right, because employees may continue using weaker passwords, reducing security effectiveness. So let me read this. It implements a new password policy. So essentially they're saying we want to do it, but we haven't implemented it. So it's ineffective, right? And why is it ineffective? Because employees may continue using weaker passwords. Okay. Sounds good. Let's continue. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 42. Which of the following is a data plane component in zero trust security model? So a data plane component, that's going to be where like the actual bits are coming across. We're actually doing some enforcement, not the control plane where we can see it and we update the policy, right? So what is a data plane component in Zero Trust? Again, that's where it's actually happening. So adaptive identity is just like something we want, right? Something that we'll configure. A policy administrator is in the control plane. That is the person that configures our authentication policies. So policy engine, policy enforcement point is what I would guess, but it's PEP, right? So C, right? So the control plane handles security policy creation and access control decisions, where the data plane actually manages actual traffic flow and enforces it, okay? The policy engine is a control plane component. That one I always get confused. I was thinking, is that representing the data plane? But it's not, right? It's actually control plane. All right, pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 43. Which of the following scenarios demonstrates a security risk associated with public key encryption? So, what's a security risk with public key encryption? So, remember, a public key in like the public key infrastructure, what it does in asymmetric encryption is it actually encrypts, and then the private key will decrypt. So really the only thing, like if it's revoked, that's not a security risk. If the hacker obtains it, I'm not a hacker, I could obtain someone's public key, that's the whole point. And then D, a public key is stored in a widely accessible certificate repository. Yes, that's the whole point. So the only answer here that makes sense as far as like a security risk is if we lose access to a private key, then we can't decrypt anything. So if we lose the private key for the private key pair for a public key that's doing all this encryption, then we're out of luck, right? We can never decrypt again. If without making new key pairs and then implementing the new key pairs, right? So we're gonna go with C here. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 44. Which of the following best describes the purpose of salting in cryptographic hashing? So salting allows us to avoid things like hash collisions, makes it a little stronger by adding randomization in there. So we're going to probably be, well, it does add randomness as well. Oh wait, I read this completely wrong. It ensures that different inputs always produce the same hash. No, opposite. I don't know what I was reading there, but no, that's not what it does. This is more accurate. It adds randomness to passwords before hashing to protect against rainbow table attacks. Yes, that is one of the things that it does. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 45. A company needs to replace sensitive credit card data in its database with randomly generated non-sensitive values while maintaining usability for transactions. Which method should be used? So pretty much we have a database full of credit card information that we need to not be exposed, right? So even if it does get exposed, we want non-sensitive data to be in there, non-sensitive values. So someone wouldn't be able to see, like, I don't know what this goes to, what user account, what credit card this belongs to. So we're doing database protection. And the way we're doing it is pretty much replacing it. We're replacing that data with another value that we wouldn't be able to read, we wouldn't be able to understand. So that right there is called tokenization, okay? So explanation, tokenization replaces sensitive data with a random token that has no exploitable value. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 46. After implementing a major network infrastructure change, the security team notices that older network diagrams do not reflect the new configuration. Which of the following is the primary risk of failing to update these diagrams? So not unauthorized users. Really what I see here is that change process didn't happen, so it's not D. It didn't seem like it happened at all. In the proper way, right? Because we would have documentation updates as part of our proper change management. Unauthorized users may gain access to confidential data. Not updating documents doesn't prevent, like, that could happen whether we update or don't update documents, right? So not really related. Employees may not know how to use the updated network. Really, network documentation is kind of more for us, right? The actual IT, the network engineers, the actual professionals. So really that leaves us with only one accurate answer here, and that is security audits and incident response may be hindered due to inaccurate documentation. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 47. Which of the following physical security controls enhances security by detecting unauthorized movement or environmental changes? So detecting unauthorized movement or environmental changes, the only thing that does that in this list is sensors. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 48. A security engineer is choosing an encryption algorithm for secure web communication. They need a strong asymmetric encryption algorithm with a key length of at least 2048 bits. Which of the following is the best choice? So asymmetric encryption on there, RSA, that's the asymmetric encryption option that we have on there. That can go up to like 4096. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Question 49. Which of the following best describes the role of an open public ledger in blockchain security? So what's secure about the blockchain essentially in a public ledger? It's the decentralization that it has. Pretty much it's all these different nodes in a decentralized computing environment that are verifying whether a hash or a token, whatever is accurate. And as long as we have like 51% in agreement, then we know that our token, our blockchain is accurate. That's a really dumbed down version of it. So with that being said, the most accurate answer here is B. It records transactions in a transparent, immutable, and decentralized manner. It does decentralized authentication. Pause the video if you'd like to read the explanation. Alright, here we go. Last question. Let's get it right. Which of the following is an example of a managerial security control? So managerial. So D, that is like technical. A is also more of like a technical, kind of like, yeah, that's a technical control. And preventative as well. So that leaves us with B and C. I feel like they're both good answers, but B seems more to me like operational. Like, we're enforcing this, right? We're enforcing this badge in and out of secure facility due to compliance. This kind of seems more operational. So what I really see is the only option we have left, conducting a risk assessment to evaluate potential threats and vulnerabilities. That's something that the managers, the C-suite, people in those positions would want for the organization. All right, we are done. So if you enjoyed this content, please make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you're interested in Security Plus training, click the link in the description below. Get access to our live virtual sessions where I'll be teaching it, or one of my great instructors, or our full self-paced course on Udemy, or our custom learning management system, where you can actually access all these questions for life. Thank you for viewing. I'll see you in the next video as we go over Domain 2 questions.